Well, welcome back, dear viewers, to this channel. Your environmentalist, Robert Meya. I'm glad for the support you've given me this year, for all the work we have done together, the views, the subscriptions that you have kept on going, the comments, and I'm just really grateful. Now, today is the last day of the year 2021. And I know we have faced it tough. The life has been so difficult. Our economy has been tough, but we are grateful and thankful to God that at least He has brought us this far. Now, I'm going to bring you the very last episode for this year. And this episode is a bit different because I'm not going to bring us a new topic, or I'm not going to share with us what is happening out there, but rather I'm just going to respond to some of the questions which you viewers have been asking me. And well, I know many of the questions that have been asked. You have been asking many, and I have tried to respond as much as possible. But the ones I'm going to respond to here are just the ones I've given priority. Not that the rest are not important. Yes, they are important, but I'll be responding to them as time goes by. Now, this is the first question that one of you asked. When did you realize you had passion for the environment? Wow, I had never sat down and asked myself that question, but this is the response that I give, and to the best of my knowledge, growing up, I realized I was just an environment conscious boy. I was a good boy who took care of the environment, even though I never knew exactly what I was doing. On our compound, I just wanted it clean. I wouldn't stomach the fact that there was litter all over. I took care of our trees. I did not allow any person playing or just destroying the trees that had been planted on our planet, on our compound. And with that, I just became over possessive. I also loved it when there were some community events such as tree planting activities, which I really did with a lot of commitment and passion, though I never knew that this is what life is going to take or turn me into. So, going to school, I became more conscious as time went by. I did not allow my friends just to waste resources such as water, and I just asked them to put litter in the rightful place and such things. I think when I grew up and in Form 2, I was given the post. There was no such post in the prefect's body, the environment in charge. That was the title, or that was the post that was created just to help me fit in. Then I continued, even though I cleared, I wanted to do education, yes. And when I was joining the University of Nairobi, my interest was to do education, the option of mathematics and chemistry. But somehow I just changed along the way, and I wanted to do geography. I don't know, my intuition, my instincts just sent me to do geography, and I studied geography at the university level. That is where now I began to grow deeper into environmental stuff. And I realized, especially when we were handling the unit industrialization and its consequences on the environment, I realized that is the topic that now stirred up my passion. It's the one that triggered the giant that was asleep in me. And that is when I began to do many things. I remember mobilizing fellow students on campus. We started the SACE Environmental Club, which is still functioning to date. I was a pioneer, founder, and chair at some point. I was a president at some point, the organizing secretary. I was so many things, and that led me to also registering an organization, a community-based organization that deals with the environment at this moment. So, with those many remarks, I hope I have helped you to understand how I have come up to where I am today. I hope you answered my next question that I'm going to respond to. I met a friend on Facebook who asked me this very difficult question. Yeah, it was difficult because now it sent me to get thinking. You say that nature can regenerate itself, right? If so, why then do you belabor pushing for conservation of nature? Why don't you just let it to regenerate itself? And I was like, wow, that was big. I had never thought like that. But in response, one thing struck my mind. time. It is true that nature can regenerate itself, but this can only happen if all factors are held constant. What does that mean? That there is no more developmental projects happening, that there is no more industrialization, there is no more carbon being emitted into the atmosphere, that there are no new resources that are needed, that we do not need to fetch water anymore from the sources. Those are the rivers, the lakes, and all have you. So, yes, nature can regenerate itself, but it will take a lot of time. For instance, if a river happens to dry up like many are doing today because of climate change, a dried up river, when we held all other all other factors constant, then it's going to take at least 80 years, 80 years for the river to regain its initial state. So yes, nature can regenerate itself, but it will take time. And because we know that we are not going to hold all factors constant, that is why now we, the environmentalists, we have come up and we need to grow and to support so that we all participate in the rescue of the planet, because the planet is at the breaking point, and if we sit there and do nothing, then we are going to perish together as fools, because the rate of destruction is higher than the rate of regeneration. I hope that is also clear. Now, another question that I was asked, let me read. If nothing is done and the status quo is held, what do you think would be the extent of harm climate change is going to have on the planet? If nothing is done and everything remains at the status quo. It's obvious if the environmentalists do not really convince the world to participate in environmental conservation measures and activities, then the planet is going to break. Currently, we are already facing the consequences such as floods, because one thing we need to understand is that the climate or the planet has become warmer than normal, and the polar region, we know it's been characterized by ice in billions and billions of tons. Now, because the environment has become warmer, the tons of ice are melting and the massive water is getting to the ocean, which is leading to the rise in the sea level. And the rise in sea level, if the rate of melting continues that way, the rise in sea level is going to lead to floods. And we know when floods come, you can complete that for yourself. We're talking about drought and famine, because as other areas are experiencing extreme drought, others experiencing extreme floods, and all those are just consequences. We have not even mentioned of the heat waves. I've talked about so many consequences that are happening today in my previous episodes, so you could also just tap it and you'll understand that. So that is question number 3. Question number 4. Why do you environmentalists insist on political leaders that are environmentally conscious? This is a hot topic. Politicians who are environment conscious are the only people who are going to help us salvage the planet. Why? Because where we are today, political policies that are developed by various countries and stakeholders are the ones that are going to ensure that preservation, conservation, and every activity that is happening to save the planet takes place. If we have leaders who are not environmentally conscious, they are going to make policies, they are going to, of course, develop policies that will support more urbanization, more industrialization, more development at the expense of the environment. So we want environment conscious political leaders who are going to help us to come up with policies that will help we, the environmentalists and the conservators, to push the conservation agenda. That is very important. We want sustainable development, and political leaders in those political offices are the ones who formulate policies and are the ones who push for the implementation. So you can be sure policy formulation and implementation are dependent on political leaders. I hope that is also clear. Someone asked me, at this moment, as where you stand today, what is your message to the world? I have two. One, the world needs to know, and I'm sure you have heard of this, that climate change is water change. And therefore, it is our responsibility to protect this life-saving resource. Climate change is water change, and therefore we must preserve this precious commodity. Another message that I will send today, and this is in a form of a quote, that not until the last tree has been cut, the last river has been poisoned, and the last fish has been caught, just until then will the world realize we can't eat money. We won't eat money. We eat what the universe provides, what the planet provides. And if we kill the planet just because we are looking for money, we are doomed. That is my message. The last question that was asked, and I think this one was really interested to know the plans I'm having for the future for the environment, because they asked, what do you plan to do in the next 5 years in your pursuit for environmental conservation? And I plan to do two things. Number one, I realized that I can't do it alone. Myself, in as much as I'll push, I'll not be able to do it. So we registered an organization, a community-based organization, together with my friends and the team members. I'm the executive director. The organization is called Our Environment Organization. We have two major plans for the next 2 years. Our vision, number one, we intend to have reached at least 1 million people with a heart-changing message of conservation. We know almost everyone has heard of conservation, almost everyone has heard of it, and therefore it is in the mind. But we realize that it is until it comes from the heart, until the people feel it from within their hearts, that's when they will embrace it and they will participate. So we want to have awareness creation campaigns that are heart transforming. We want to transform the hearts of the inhabitants of the planet for us to manage to conserve the environment. So we want to reach at least 1 million people using all the available media. We want to use one-on-one, we want to use schools, we want to use social media, we want to use mainstream media, any that God is going to bring our way, to ensure that in the next 5 years, at least 1 million people will be feeling the way I feel, will be having that fear that propels you into action that I'm feeling today. Number two, we are intending in the next 5 years, we are hoping, or we are trusting God to have planted and grown at least 30,000 fruit trees. That one is going to help us kill two birds by one stone, because fruit trees are going to help increase food security, and as much as they are going to help us in the climate change crisis that we are facing. So please, that is all that I had for us today. Thank you very much for those questions, and I hope by the few responses that I've given that you've been helped and that you're going to help me pass this message to others. Please, our channel is open. I want you to go tap that subscription button, subscribe, make your comment, ask questions, invite us in your schools. We are going to talk, because one of the things we have realized as an organization is that we want to use schools because students have got time, students can learn, they can learn to preserve the environment, and they have got time to take care of the environment. That's what we're going to do. Please reach us and let us see the way forward. Together, okay, one person can just make an impact. But as Minaguli says, One person can only make an impact, but all of us together, we can really change the world. And that is my message today. Till next year, the year 2022, God willing. See you then.